Now, this I'm so excited for. I just so happened to roll a natural 20 on my luck in life. I am a proud trans veteran. Let me put my pants on my head real quick. Hello and welcome. If you're here, it must be for the revolution that we have in store. Well, I'm excited that you've decided to join me on this journey. After my last video, it appears as though our strength has doubled in numbers, and so I find it necessary to release the first step of the woke agenda. And this is an important item because, I mean, again, with everything going on in the world, what are we going to do? So I thought it's more important now than ever to just start establishing what we're going to do. And the first order of business is we're going to start just ignoring the government. Okay, we're people. We know how to be good people. Just act like a good person. Be open to kindness. Offer it as much as you can to others. Be compassionate in as much as you can do. If you do all that, you shouldn't have a problem with the government. They're off. I don't know. I think it's just a bunch of billionaires sort of making numbers go bigger while we are left fighting for crumbs because that's the system of capitalism we live under. But let's go ahead and just let them do that and ignore it. And while we're fighting for crumbs, let's remember to be kind to one another. Because believe it or not, the people you're fighting for crumbs against aren't the enemy. That's a fabricated reality put forth before you by those in positions of power, oftentimes through systems of governance, or in a society like ours with capitalism, material wealth is often used to reinforce structures that discriminate, and the classes that benefit most from that discrimination oftentimes are able to accumulate enough wealth to perpetuate their benefit from society. Oh, goodness me, sorry. Am I talking about privilege? My goodness. Let's get to the important things. It's Black History Month. Here's a person who you should all know, George Washington Carver. He did a lot of work when it came to peanuts and their applications, from oil extractions to butter manufacturing methods. He was an incredible person. I am a little rusty on my facts, so I have to reread on the information about him, but I did a book report on George Washington Carver when I was in 3rd grade, and I'm very grateful that I did, because later on in life I watched the movie Undercover Brother, which has a scene in there where the character Conspiracy Brother says, "Did you know that the first computer was made by George Washington Carver out of a peanut?" A peanut! And I'm sorry that my delivery is not near as good as Dave Chappelle's. Believe it or not, he used to be funny before he was a bigoted, hate-mongering, well, whatever he is now. You know, I'm not going to define him. I think he's a comedian. I thought you had to be funny, and he used to be, but it's okay. You know, I guess athletes aren't the only ones that grow out of their field. You know, it happens to the best of us. Dave Chappelle, if you're watching this, I miss who you used to be. And anyway, back to the woke agenda. Oh, sorry, movie recommendation. I remember there was a movie I really enjoyed from African American culture called The Wood. And I don't know how many of you in my audience are African American, but The Wood outlines sort of teenage boys in a school. And one of the subplots of this is that this boy likes this girl, and they all have a virginity pot that they all donate $1 to, I think, each month. And if you lose your virginity, you win the pot, which, I mean, I know it's probably a reductive outline of the movie. It's been a while since I saw that, but it's February. Let's celebrate some African American art. And I mean, we are a country built on the backs of slavery. White people have benefited for, I mean, what, at least like 250 years off of it? So why now we can't celebrate Black History Month? Geez, you remember back when they were complaining we couldn't say Merry Christmas? That is what we in the I work in the funny business, and we call that the old switcheroo. It's where they pull a fast one out from under you. Oftentimes, this technique is really well used in woke arguments, and you might see me employ this. I think I did it in one of the last videos. I'll put up the comments. Geez, I don't know if I want to do that, but the guy comes in, he's often disrespectful, and then I go in and I say, hey bud, go back to Reddit. And the idea is like, oh, he's crawled out of some hobby hole. He does not belong in this area. That's what that comment does. So it instantly puts him on the defensive. And as soon as he refutes it, the next thing I do is call him homeschool. Because, I don't know, personally, if someone called me homeschooled, I'd get offended. And I think anyone who went to a legitimate institution of learning would get offended if they were called homeschooled. And then on top of that, I disparaged his parents' quality of parenting. I mean, this guy's steamed. He's, you know, I know I get a lot of hate. Sometimes it's fun, though, just to poke these people. Because again, they're the ones in power. What are they going to do? Come into the YouTube comments section and debate? Well, I'm going to go ahead and just incorporate a woke agenda in all of our days. So the first step of the woke agenda is be kind to others. And I want to highlight one specific case where we can all be kind to others, and that is merging. Now, when you're going down in a 2-lane road going down to 1 lane, and you're going and you see that there's about a 1/3 of car gap between you and the car in front of you, and you know that there's a merge coming up where someone has to get into that spot, the thing to do is to stop accelerating, tap on the brakes, and let the car in. Now, if you're in a merge lane and there is not sufficient space, what you don't do is slam into the guy who's, you know, blocking you out or whatever. But what you can do is just keep going. What are they gonna do? As long as they hit the back half of your car, it's their fault because they're out of your line of sight. So when merging, keep that in mind. Don't let these people try and gas you out. It's called gaslight them back. That's why I say, don't get offended, get offensive. Turn it back on them. Make them on the defense, because so often society puts us as, I'm speaking from the perspective of a trans person, but I imagine it works for many marginalized communities. Put them on the defensive. Attack their character back. Don't sit and argue what their points are, because their arguments are not being made in good faith. The only way to defeat a bad faith argument is to make a good faith argument and destroy them in return. Now, that's not to say that the goal is to destroy them. The goal is to show them that this charade known as debating that seems to have just prevailed in, like, I don't know. I feel like there's more keyboard warriors now than there used to be. It used to be that there were like 6 funny people on the internet and then everyone else would post on 4chan and, like, I don't know. It's okay. We've come a long way in terms of expression, but people in conservative networks have made debating such a big part of their personality that when you see someone coming up through our ranks in terms of, like, leftist media, I think one good person is Lucas Graham. He keeps getting recommended to me for, like, news sort of broadcast stuff. But when you get someone like that and then they show up on a person like, well, I don't even want to say his name because he's a Russian plant, but he goes onto a show like Tim Pool, it legitimizes that fake platform that the conservative has. Because why are we continuing to act as if these information resources are even worthwhile? When someone says, oh yeah, I like Tim Pool, you're supposed to say, I'm sorry, are you homeschooled? And then that solves the issue, because no one with any modicum of, like, intelligence to think and reason for themselves would be watching content from, like, someone who can't decide where they stand politically on something as complex as the death penalty. Here's the thing, don't kill people. That's bad. That's bad. When you deprive someone of their right to life, that's bad. Easy day, Tim Pool. But for you, you're like, oh yeah, traitors ought to be brought out in front of a firing squad. And you bring up this rhetoric as if penalties can be applied that apply capital punishment. And when you do that to people who have mental fragilities that sort of push them to believe the things they see on TV, in the instance of like schizophrenia, where they have hallucinations and they're believing that they're hearing something from the TV rather than watching a program on the TV. When you push that rhetoric, that's how you get mass shootings. And yet we still continue to legitimize these platforms. We don't do anything to stop Tim Pool from pushing Edward Gregorian content, even though we can all look at Edward Gregorian and be like, well, that sounds like a fake name. Well, that looks like a fake CV. But what's wild is Tim Pool and David Rubin can't. Dave Rubin, I think he's kind of washed up. I mean, what with the conservative turnaround on the LGBT, I mean, no one wants to be friends with the pick-me gay anymore. Ugh, sorry, Dave Rubin, should have thought better. I'm sure he's fine. He made like $5 million off Edward Gregorian. But when you look at that and then they go, well, the left is all bought and paid for by corporations. Where? Majority Report? That guy makes like nothing. Sam Cedar, I think. I don't even know what he does. He tells the news pretty good. If you want to be more woke, just let people merge. It's so easy. Just let people merge. That's all you gotta do. Step one to the woke agenda. Let people merge. By the way, we live in a system that benefits white men specifically and promotes heteronormativity, which are not necessarily baselines of what it means to be normal, and they are not the default situation for the majority of us. Because believe it or not, straight white men don't make up 50% of the population. They don't deserve to be coming in and telling us how we ought to be living. Anyway, this has been Sticky Basket, just here to let you know that the revolution's gonna be broadcast on YouTube part-time, because I got a day job and I got classes to go to, so I just wanted to share with you again, I am frustrated about everything going on, but we are so powerless to what happens in the government without calls for like explicit, things that I don't necessarily support. And I, again, am not sure what to do. So I just I'll keep thinking. Maybe tomorrow I'll play Dark Souls, or maybe I'll go do that now and calm down. It is a Monday. And I wanted to say thank you so much for everyone who supported me. All the newcomers, welcome. Holy cannoli. Like, I think my entire, I went from 50 to 100 because the pet special was like a 51 sub special. That's why I gave the transistor fact. And then, oh my goodness, I'm just so excited you all have decided to join me. I don't know, maybe I'll do Alex Jones style newscasts or something. But there's not a lot of money in leftist media, and I'm not even necessarily leftist. I'm just some trans veteran who likes playing Dark Souls and isn't happy with the world. So I'd like to take some time out of my day, as much as I can, to share that I'm not happy with the state of the world, and I have nothing that I can do about it. So I'm going to go and take care of my animals. I'm going to go and do my schoolwork. I'm going to wake up and go to work tomorrow. But I tell you what, I am not going to be happy about it. Sorry, that was a lie. I'm going to be ecstatic doing it. Sorry. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you all so much for your support. It's incredible. I love you all. Bye. Someone who came out as trans after receiving the COVID vaccine and was removed from the military as a result. I believe the rights I stood up to defend are worth defending. Each new mountain is a new opportunity to grow. Thanks a lot, bud. Now I have to spoil it. No longer am I a proud American. So I'm a little bit of a fun person to be around. Being something more than an animal whose intelligence is limited by circumstances of birth. There are some things I have to do for my safety. Miss me with your gay shit, Mr. Trump.